This next one, I feel like I have to give a trigger warning for Yoon.
Oh my god. I'm triggered already. Hi guys, welcome to LoveCast, the Boys Love podcast. I'm your host Pixie, and with me are my co-hosts Alexa and Kayla.
Hello.
So we are talking about BLs that deserve better today, but first we have some tea time. Okay, I'll let you guys explain it because you know the story. I'm just sitting here just being flabbergasted.
Yes, so basically, the other day, Korean news outlets kind of started leaking that there was an idol who originally remained unnamed, and like there was this whole thing about trying to figure out who it was based on the clues. But there was this idol who, it had come out that he had been arrested last year basically for breaking into his ex's house, threatening her with a knife, choking her, and basically trying to force her to get back together with him. And, you know, the sentence they called for was 1 year in prison plus some other, like, probation and all the stuff on top of it. But the sentence ended up getting suspended. So he basically got off with just probation and I think some aspect of like community service or like anger management classes or something like that. And then they finally found his name, and it was Nam Yoon Sung, who was he's an idol. He was in the group Noir. He was also in season 2 of Produce 101. And he is currently cast in an upcoming BL drama called Oh, My Assistant. So everyone was just kind of like shocked that this apparently happened like last October. So October 2021. And after that happened and he got his suspended sentence, is currently on probation. He was cast in this BL drama. So first of all, the fact that this happened is like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. And the fact that he was like actively being cast in things after the fact. And as far as we know, the production of this BL drama has not come out in the last couple of days and said, you know, we're dropping him from the production or anything yet. So we don't know if they filmed it all, if they're just scrapping the whole thing, you know, like what's going to happen, but they haven't said anything yet. So, yeah.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I don't understand how they thought that this would go under the radar. Like, with all the K-pop idols that have their past drawn out, like, for being bullies in high school, or younger, and they think that, like, this stuff that happened a year ago won't, like, get found?
I don't know. I don't know what their thought process was there. Like,
or
we were talking about,
know. And that's
maybe the production had no idea.
Yeah.
Like somehow this guy... Wouldn't that kind of thing have to, like, be public information if you have a criminal record? So maybe they just did not do any background research on the people they were casting, and had genuinely no idea that this had happened, or maybe they somehow thought that they were above the power of netizens and the Korean news and thought they could keep it under wraps. I don't know, but yeah, the craziest thing about it all is, like we were talking about this beforehand, the reason he ended up with a suspended sentence is because the courts ruled that he somehow accidentally did these things. So he accidentally threatened his ex-girlfriend with a knife and accidentally choked her and accidentally tried to force her to get back together with him.
Yeah, I mean, this really does smell like money. Like, he
that's
has
my thought.
Either influence or money.
And they tried to, like, cover it up, the whole thing. And, like, yeah. It's just crazy to me. I feel like I'm always, like, shocked when these kind of things come to light. Even though, like, I know how horrible people can be and how corrupt the political courts can be. But like hearing that something like that, you can threaten someone with a weapon and choke them and assault them and somehow can still get it written off as like an accidental assault. Like, it's just like, I'll never be able to grasp that in my brain, how people can be so corrupt with stuff like that.
I am speechless.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, so I guess we'll have to see what is going to happen with Oh My Assistant. If they're going to move forward with it with someone else, if they'll just scrap the whole production. Like I said, it's been, I guess, yesterday or the day before that this news came out, and the production hasn't made any announcements about it yet. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I mean, I can imagine, I don't know how they'd go forward with keeping the guy in the cast at this point. So I feel like it's either going to be they go back to page one and recast, or scrap the production if they can't afford to redo the casting process. But yeah, I don't know. Picture's just like, yeah.
I have no words for this. I'm just like,
Yeah.
how can this even happen? How corrupt?
It's like, I think they have like the mindset in the courts of wanting to rehabilitate people instead of just like locking them up. But I feel like in instances like this person is a harm to others.
Yeah.
Like a physical
but that's
harm
not,
to
like,
others.
letting him go is not rehabilitation. That's just like
Right?
enforcing
Yeah,
that he can
that's
get away
true.
with it.
Yeah,
Because-
I guess they see like probation and like anger management classes and that kind of stuff as part of the rehabilitation, but I don't know.
Norway has a really relaxed system for comics. Like, it's not like America. They get their own room, own bathrooms. So
Yeah.
like, it's humane because they need to be easy to like integrate with society when they get out. So it's basically like they're living outside, inside the prison.
Yeah.
Sort of, you know
Like
what I mean?
a
Life
society.
isn't supposed to
Like,
change.
Yeah, like it's still a
But they
humane
are
society,
still
but
captured. They're still inside. So it's still, you don't have freedom. But that's rehabilitation. Like, letting him go, like, he doesn't give a fuck. He's gonna do that again.
yeah, I hope that they have some type of protection for his ex who he threatened, but I don't trust them to have any sort of protection in place for her to keep her safe with him now only being on probation. Like,
like if they said that this was all accidental, they kind of like put the blame on her that she did something to deserve this. So they're not gonna protect her at all. Like, I hope she like moves, like leave the country. God.
Yeah.
I mean, politically, South Korea right now is not a good place to be for women or queer people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess we'll see if any updates come out about it, but for right now, it's just kind of like, Jesus
Christ. Yes. Okay, to our a little more light content, a little more positive content.
It's always a transition from tea time to our episode content.
But, like, we often complain about stuff, so this time we are gonna, like, hype up stuff.
Yes.
And either Alexa or Kayla are gonna start this because I'm not prepared and I need time to get through.
Yeah, so I feel like the whole reason that when I was kind of brainstorming potential list episodes, the whole series that inspired this idea for me was He's Coming to Me, which was a GMMTV series that came out in 2018, 2019, with Om, Pawat, and Singto. And you guys have heard me talk about this show. Like, everyone knows that I love this show. It's one of my all-time favorite BLs. But, like, it got zero promotion from GMMTV. And we've kind of talked about, I think we mentioned in a past episode how, like, we're wondering if maybe it was because GMMTV didn't want to irritate the pariah fans by promoting Singto with another actor while he was still under the company, that kind of thing. But when the series first came out, GMMTV was not subbing it at all. And this was in a time period where they were at least subbing their BLs, even though it took a couple days at a time. So the only way that, like, if you're watching it while it was airing, it's now on their YouTube channel, I believe. But if you're watching it while it was airing, you could only access it through fan subs. So, like, there was no real way for international fans to support it legally. They did very little promotion for it together, like Om and Singto. I think they had a couple photo shoots here and there. But, like, I mean, compared to what GMMTV will do for their other series and couples, like, they really had nothing going for them. And I feel like the show kind of did well solely on word of mouth from people who were enjoying it, talking about it to other people. And, like, it did end up winning awards. Like, Om and Singto won awards for best acting for some of their emotional scenes in the show. And I think Om won an award for his character's coming out scene in the show. So, like, there was a lot of impact that came from the series despite it getting zero promotion from GMMTV at all. But, like, whenever I think of, like, what the show could have been if it had been properly promoted by the company, I just think about, like, how much better it deserved.
Yeah, I remember to watch it, I downloaded it off of someone's Google Drive.
It was like Google Drive, yeah.
I believe it was subbed by Pink Milk Subs.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I love
Which is a throwback. Such a throwback. Yeah.
But yeah, like, and there was other shows airing at the same time that, like, GMMTV was actively putting out, like, subs for on their channel despite it taking, like, a couple days. So it was, like, such a weird choice that they, like, did not sub this series at all and, like, did not make it accessible to international fans in a legal manner at all. So yeah,
it shows that they had, like, no faith in that the show would be interesting for international fans.
Yeah, I think they just kind of expected, like, I think that was Singto's first BL he did after Sotus. So I wonder if they were, like, expecting that no one would tune in seeing Singto act with someone who wasn't Chris for the first time. Obviously, he's gone on to act with, like, many other people in BL and queer media since then, but I wonder if they, like, expected it to flop without the Chris Singto power and fan support.
Yeah. I feel strongly about that one too. I think my big one, and I'm starting off with this because I cannot stress it enough, but Cupid's Last Wish deserves more. And this series was, like, set to fail from the beginning because it was only released on Disney Plus Hotstar, which you, I guess, needed a VPN for and had to pay for if you were able to as an international fan. And it's like, now it's on YouTube. But I feel like GMMTV really fumbled the bag and, like, missed a very crucial time that they had to promote it just because they wanted to try to make it more exclusive. And and
with Earth Mix too, like, that's so surprising that they did that with an Earth Mix show.
And, like, I personally think that Cupid's Last Wish is as good as Tale of a Thousand Stars. And it just, like, pains me knowing that more people don't know about it because it wasn't promoted by GMMTV internationally. Which, like you said, doesn't make sense because Earth Mix are so popular. But, I was a little wary about it because it's, like, a body swap BL, and sometimes those end up being cheesy. But I feel like with this one, they really had, like, a whole different intent with it, because I feel like all the other body swap BLs I've seen use it to kind of like gay bait the audience.
Mm-hmm.
But in Cupid's Last Wish, it's like used to kind of like make the siblings more empathetic towards each other and like understand what they're going through. And it's just like, we've never gotten, other than this, a BL set on a dairy farm. Like, that's so unique. I didn't know that I needed Earth and Mix to play blue collar farmers.
For
just
real,
like the whole vibe of it being in the country and stuff is so good. And like Jan and Mix look like siblings, so I thought the casting was really good. And like the fact that they're going on a road trip, I feel like it brings like a really warm and nostalgic vibe to the show. And there's just so many good things. Like there's so much good dialogue that's like really philosophical. I think the like way that they transition between the body swap is really clever. And yeah, I just feel like it deserved more accessibility for fans.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I have such a bone to pick with Disney Plus Hotstar. And this was one of the big instances with it. It's also like a big issue in K-dramas right now that like any drama that gets picked up by that platform is like not accessible if you're outside of an Asian region or can't afford to pay for Disney Plus in that region. So it kind of sucks. And like, yeah, they put it on YouTube eventually, but like by then you see all the spoilers online and the promotional period is over, so you just kind of feel like you're getting scraps basically, and it's just kind of like, I guess I'll watch it now. Like,
I mean, getting the shows when they actually air and everyone watching simultaneously is more. There's sort of like this excitement and adrenaline coming from it. So if you have to wait for it to come out, you just lose that initial excitement, and it's like I can't get that back. The same thing happened with the what do you call it? Like a horror with Bound and Prem.
I know which one you're talking about, but I would not be able to tell you the title of it.
Yeah, I can't remember the title, but anyways, like they aired it without subtitles, and it was hard to get, and then released it like 6 months later on Netflix, I think.
Yeah, actually. That sounds about right.
Yeah, but like who wants to watch it then? And they had like clickbaited people with Bound Prem
scenes. With like the sex scene. Yeah. Long Kong. That's what it was.
Long Kong, yes.
Heather found the title.
Yes. Long Kong. And they clickbait like people with the hot... Like they were promoting this series with only Bound and Prem basically on social media. Yeah. And they had barely... Like they die in the first 2 episodes. Like, dude.
Of course.
But
killing the gay people.
They said they had like an extended scene of like the hot sex scene they have. And that they never released that. Yeah. So they were flat out lying.
Trying to capitalize on that.
And it's kind of sad because like Bound and Prem were acting their asses off in that show. And it's actually a good show. If you watch it, it's really like thrilling to watch. Like it's not like a horror.
It's like a psychological kind of situation.
Yeah, like it's supernatural and everything, like gory at times. But yeah. It's a really interesting story, so it's worth actually watching, but you can't get that excitement now that, 6 months later. Like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That time between just, like, really kills all the excitement for something, I feel like. And then it's, like, the excitement that comes from, kind of like you were saying, like, everyone being able to watch something together. And like everyone's tweeting in the hashtag, like international fans, anti-fans, and people who have VIP access or whatever, like the feeling of like trying to trend things together and like going in the trending tags together and like, you know,
like an accomplishment.
Yeah. And like, you know, when you see something airing like Cupid's Last Wish and you see like Cupid's Last Wish EP 6 or whatever trending, and like, you know, you can't enjoy that and the content coming out because you won't be able to watch the show for like 4 or 5 months down the line, so it kind of sucks.
Yeah, and I don't want to go on Twitter to talk about a show that no one's watching.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the point? Like, no one is going to engage with you, so you're just basically, like, yelling out into the thin air.
I feel like that's me.
Oh my god. So, for me, the first thing that came to my mind, I had to like look up the title, or Alexa help me. Calculating Love from Mind Trio. They have a YouTube channel where they release this. It's a very, very short series. And it's very low budget, but they did so much with the little budget they have, and the actors were great in their parts, and I really like enjoyed like the play on words and play on names and all that was in there. I think like they created a world with those small, like barely any episodes. Like I wish it had been longer, but I understand because like it's very low budget. They struggled really hard to get the last episode out. Like, it took a long time, a couple of months, I think, from when it was supposed to come out to when it came out. And they let everyone know that it was because they couldn't get, like, the budget to finish it yet. So, it's really cute and it's worth watching. Like, it's completely free and you're supporting like a small company. They have a new series out, and I mean, I really respect a company that can take very small amount of money and make something good.
Yeah. You know, I think money doesn't always necessarily translate into a good production. Mm-hmm. So like, you know, we've seen plenty of shows that have, you know, strong companies backing them and presumably a strong budget, and like you get absolute crap from the outcome. But you know, there's a lot of like smaller production and indie production companies that are putting out really interesting and unique stories and have like a lot of good actors under their belt. But like, I feel like not being able to promote because you don't have a budget, or, you know, people not wanting to look at things that are coming from like small indie production companies can like really hold people back from like experiencing some of those things and some of the series that they have to offer.
Yeah. And obviously when they're so small budget, they don't have the money to like have big promotions.
Exactly. You know, they can't spend a lot on that kind of stuff.
They have to like do everything with like a mouth of word, and they've done it fairly well with just like people promoting it for them, sort of thing. But more people should watch it. Like, it's worth the couple of hours that you need to watch through it.
Yeah, I think it's like 6 episodes or something like that.
I think it's less than that. I think it's more like 3 or 4.
Yeah. So, I mean, the good thing is, like, I feel like on Cloud9, which is the show they're doing now, I have seen a lot more talk about that one. Yeah. So hopefully, you know, the company is kind of gaining some ground and some recognition through things like Calculating Love, and that'll be able to translate into future projects.
Yeah.
So my next one, and I did not purposefully choose 2 ghost BLs in a row, but something in my room.
Yes.
I think we just talked about this in an episode, how I feel like this show 100% became a victim to something similar with like the Disney Plus, but like got caught up in capitalism and being caught behind paywalls. So something in my room was I think one of the first BLs that Channel 3 was like producing entirely on their own. And because of that, they wanted to use it to promote their membership that they have on their website, Channel 3 Plus. And so it was locked behind the Channel 3 Plus paywall, which honestly, it was really cheap. Like, I paid for it. It was like $2 for like a year's subscription or something like that. It translated into $2 US. But the website was not very international fan friendly. So like I was able to register, but it took me a while to figure it out. And I had to use like my automatic, like my browser's translator and stuff to be able to get through a lot of the things to register. And then they decided to release it on YouTube as well, kind of like, I think an episode or two into it premiering. But they cut so much out of the YouTube edit, and it was so much crucial information. Like they weren't cutting out like small fluffy scenes or things that weren't needed. Like they were cutting out information that was crucial to the story making sense. And I don't know if they were doing that because they thought it would drive people to pay for the Channel 3 Plus subscription in order to get the full series or to get the full sense of what was happening. But like the episodes, almost every episode of the show was like an hour and 10 to an hour and 20 minutes. And the YouTube cut was almost always exactly 45 minutes. So you were losing upwards of 20 minutes to half an hour of important information in every episode. And so I saw so many people like rightfully complaining that the YouTube cut of the story did not make sense and did not do anything to bring them into what I thought was like a very well told and very well written like ghost romance story, and Nut and Plan were great in it, and I just feel like it fell victim to such a weird choice from the production company standpoint, and the cut of the episode that was accessible just like was like a jumbled mess basically that just like did not make sense or do the story justice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agree with all of that as usual. I mean we've
stories,
talked
but I agree.
Yeah, we've talked about that show a lot already.
Yeah, so. And it was a D-Hub House production, which they did Lovely Writer,
so
which
good.
We all know how I feel about Lovely Writer. And the production was really well done. Like, you know, I just thought the story was so good. And like we watched it, a couple of us watched it together in the server, and like we would just be like gushing about it between us every week because no one on social media was like watching or getting the full impact of the series because of this like jumbled YouTube cut, and it was just so frustrating.
Yeah. So my next one is another one that I feel strongly about. Bite Me.
Oh.
The reason
I agree.
The reason why I think this drama deserved better is not because it's underrated or like a lack of viewers, but I feel like it became an 11 episode long advertisement, and like the Line Man sponsorship went way too far, and it made the plot suffer as a result.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like it's such a beautiful story, and like there's so much symbolism about like Thai art and history and mythology, but like it's almost completely overshadowed by this constant emphasis on the brand name and like using aesthetics to market it. And it's just like, yeah, like every series needs sponsors, but it took so like much away from it.
Yeah.
Like, there had to be a different way, because like the concept of a food delivery boy falling for like this Michelin chef is so good. And it was just like completely ruined. The pacing of the show, I feel like, was completely ruined by like how many times they had to show the brand logo or like emphasize that he's a line driver.
Yeah, there were so many scenes that weren't necessary for the sake of promoting the brand.
It got really boring watching like driving and stuff, and see the like drivers standing outside talking.
Yeah, and their little chit chat with their scooters.
Why am I watching this?
And those scenes were so long, and I'm like, why is this taking away from the actual story?
I would have wanted more of like the side couple than watching all that driving.
They were good too.
Yeah.
Like, it just sucks because, like, I even watched the behind the scenes episode and, like, I saw how much creative thought the director and the team were, like, putting into all the food, really the choices of what they were showing. And, like, there's so much symbolism, too, with the food and it representing how the characters, like, feel about each other. And, like, side note, Mark's acting, I feel like, went through a huge improvement in this show. And, like, nobody knows.
I love Mark. Like, I have a soft spot for Mark. I can't explain it.
It's like, nobody got to see how much he improved in this show. Like, he was so good.
I think it's like, it was a salmon series too, and like up until now, like salmon, like both Triage and Manner of Death, like their series adaptations have been so good. Despite Triage getting the AIS play curse, but you know what, that's fine. But their adaptations have been so good, and it sucks because I remember when we talked to her, like she was so nervous about this novel and this adaptation because it was her first time writing comedy, which I feel like they did not translate as much of the comedy.
They did not translate the comedy into it at all.
And like it was so different from her typical genre that she's become known for, and so you know, I feel like she was very nervous about the adaptation, and it just sucks that I feel like it didn't live up to what it could have been based on what she wrote and based on what they had, like in terms of storyline.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know how she feels about the finished product, but I feel like they took her story and, like, stripped it of everything that made it good. Yeah. Like you said, like, there wasn't the comedy. They had the emphasis on food, but sometimes, again, because it was with wine, there was, like, a big emphasis on it.
Yeah, I mean, too much.
Ryan would have gotten so much more out of it if they just hadn't been in it so much.
Yeah.
So, one that just popped into my head when we were talking about a little bit older shows is Why Are You? I freaking love that story. I love it.
Me too.
I think it's perfect. It's got, like, spice, it's got story, it's got like ridiculous comedy added to it, it's got soft moments, it's got everything. But they ruined it with the last couple of episodes. Like, the fan service is just so much. And I understand they had to do it because of the pandemic. But again, like, can you just stop filming and wait until you can film properly? Because the added extra episodes they did for
Sci-fi
Jimmy and Tommy story,
it just didn't hit the same way. Like, they tried to finish their story with those special episodes, and it just was not there.
Yeah, it was too much. Just like Why Are You? The last episodes was too much Tudor and Fighter. Like, it was like the perfect mix was both of these two couples. Just like they balanced each other off so well. And but if you just got one of them, like, straight through, it's too much.
Yeah. I sometimes forget, like, how many, besides those two, like, they couldn't even properly distribute the time between Tudor Fighter and Cyphazon, but they also had, like, 4 side couples beyond that, like, Max
I forgot about
and
those.
The cat,
I don't even
remember
those. Like, ignore it.
The cat couple that Sang was a part of, and I had totally blocked that out of my memory, and, like...
I mean, that was a choice adding those. Like, that was a choice.
Exactly. And that's, like, another thing. It's like, you know, I get that, they didn't anticipate the pandemic and the filming issues that they would run into because of it, but, like... sometimes some productions are a little bit too ambitious with the amount of pairings that they choose to include.
I mean, and this was definitely one of them. They just said they wanted to, like, show off the whole Domandi.
Yeah, they were literally like, ensemble. Every Domandi boy needs to be gay in this series somehow.
Didn't that guy who got, like, taken away for killing his girlfriend?
Yes, he was Toy. Yes. He was in that show. Yeah. Yes, he was. So there was him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
no,
Curse
Why Are
production.
You deserved better. It deserved a lot better, and it's a great story. So
it started off so strong,
but there's a redemption arc here. It's getting a Korean adaptation.
Yeah, we'll see if it's a redemption arc.
Hopefully, it's a redemption arc.
I don't know. I was so confused out of all, and I think it's because obviously I think Domundi has made a connection with the production company in Korea because like the boys were over there for a Cutie Pie fan meet and stuff like that. But
they've done like
out of all of the series that Korea is choosing to adapt, why are you?
It's so weird.
And like Max and Nat are gonna have a cameo in it, and like it's only gonna be 8 episodes, 30 minutes each. So like I just don't know how it's gonna
cut
work.
out all the side couples. That's guaranteed. They probably just have the two main, and
that I could see somewhat working, but I don't know.
Are they gonna have like the aggressive like relationship that Tudor and Fighter have?
Because I feel like that's a part of Why Are You that like
and it's so not K-drama to go at
it. We are not going to have 3 beach episodes in any K-drama.
No, but just like the original like kiss that Tudor and Fighter has on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? Like, dude, their lips are swollen after that.
Yeah.
How can you imagine like a K-drama have that?
No, not in a BL. Not in a BL, that's for certain.
I am so curious.
I don't know how it's gonna end up, but it's happening. Like Max and Nat are in Korea now,
so excited to watch that. You have no idea.
Oh yeah, I don't know. That was. It's gonna be interesting to see how it comes to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your next one.
So my next one is from the Philippines, and it came out last year, and that is Stuck on You. So I think this one kind of, obviously, the Philippines went really hard on the quarantine BL genre. Like after, I think, Game Boys and Guy Saw Película kind of did that genre really well. They kind of just started pumping them out. Like we had Boys Lockdown and like all these other things that were based around the quarantine and pandemic and stuff like that. And I think Stuck on You kind of came out towards the later end of like the Filipino BL boom. Like things obviously have quieted down in the Philippines since then. And this one came out last year, in the summer of last year. But I just like was surprisingly like, despite it being another quarantine BL, I thought they had some elements that kind of separated it from the others. This idea of like, I guess it's not like that unique, but like you're going to hook up with someone and then, you know, you find out that your neighborhood is going on lockdown. So now you have to coop up with this complete stranger for 14 days. And it kind of was similar to Boys Lockdown in that way. But I think this one went into a lot more emotional aspects that Boys Lockdown kind of stayed like cute and light and sweet. Like they went in a lot to the trauma of the main characters and issues with their ex-partners and their sexuality. And it was just like very, very deep and very emotional. They covered loss of like, you know, losing someone due to COVID and like that impact. And like, there was a lot of good elements, I think. And I thought that Yves and Io, who played the main actors, like had a really great chemistry with each other and both did really well with their characters and kind of tapping into those emotions. But I think just because, you know, the Filipino market was so oversaturated at that point, especially because with the quarantine BLs, and a lot of, you know, not as higher quality productions.
A lot of crap.
Pixie says it the blunt way, I say it the nice way. But yeah, I think it just kind of like, you know, not a lot of people were interested in it, and that's totally fair. But I just like surprisingly really enjoyed watching every single episode of it, and I thought it was really well done for, something that was such an oversaturated genre of like quarantine Filipino BLs. I thought it was one of the better ones that came out among them, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, this next one, I feel like I have to give a trigger warning for Yoon.
Oh my god. I'm triggered already.
I triggered myself. But, why? The reason being, I think this series is highbrow comedy, and I'm not even saying that to be comedic. Like, I think people didn't understand what they were trying to do, but, like, it was
brilliant.
giving. Like, people wrote it off as complete nonsense, but it is really
that's the, like, literal point of the show.
That was the point,
Exactly.
Exactly. So well. It was so funny.
Oh
my god! I cannot forget when they jump into like the washing machines. That's just it's peak comedy, dude.
The record scene when you recreated that on TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And you were like in your laundromat, like
I noticed that. Yeah, Copy A Bangkok is, like, really good at making dramas that are self-aware. Yeah. And that, like, seem very chaotic, but are genuinely well thought out. And so, like, with YYY, I really love how they did that thing where they took all these BL tropes and, like, over-exaggerated them to kind of make a point about them being predictable and overused. And it kind of, like, reminded me of Zetai BL in that way, except I think a lot of the satire was specifically related to Thai BL and, like, Thai humor.
I think Copy of Bangkok is very, like, they make stuff that you have to think about, like, when watching. Like, it's not just mindless entertainment. You actually have to use your brain when you're watching it. Even like this, like, high comedy, like utter nonsense. It's if you just like watch it and think about what you're watching, you're gonna understand the comedy in it.
Yeah.
And the actors were awesome. Like they were like Poppy.
I love Talay.
Poppy,
yes, Poppy.
Poppy, the
Who
icon.
else was in it? Of
I
course,
literally
Talay was in it.
And like it's the only show that I actually think that He Who Shall Not Be Named is good in.
I think him having like little to no expression worked a lot for that show.
In that one. Yeah, it does.
Like even that was satirical.
Yeah, right? He's completely clueless on what he's doing, and it works so well.
Oh, it's so good.
The blow-up doll is my favorite thing.
Oh my god. Yes. One thing that I really love...
This on TV. I love it.
Yeah, they didn't hold back. One thing that I really love about this series is that, like, even though it all takes place in the same... like apartment complex, they turn it into like its own universe. Yeah. With like all of the set changes and everything is just so elaborate. So like you never get bored. It's just like like genuinely I laughed from the beginning to end. I think it's good.
Yeah, no.
And I think if people like sitcoms, they'll like it.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't, like, watched another show that can do comedy in that way, and make it work. Like, I think, like, that's what My Day was trying to do. But they were doing it so badly that it's just, like, it was a train wreck.
Yeah. Same with, That's My Candy, unfortunately. Like, I feel like they were just trying to have that same level of, like, highbrow humor, and it just like
it just flew over
fell
everyone's
flat.
head.
Did not work. It
no.
did not work. They didn't.
No.
They didn't commit the way that YYY did.
Yeah, YYY committed. That's brilliant. Okay, so my next one is Long Time No See. Like, I know technically it's not a BL, but I think that like every BL fan should watch it, and I think people would be surprised at how well it is, like how good it is. It's low budget, but again, really well done for the low budget. And the story is so unique. And yeah, it has some aspects that are a tiny bit confusing at times. Like, you don't know who is who and where is where. And like, there are some cuts that are a little bit jarring for the story, but that's because it's low budget. But as a whole, it is so good. And I was surprised at how much I liked it when I watched it.
Yeah. And
it has a great plot twist at the end. And I just think everyone should try it. Like, not enough people have watched it. And it's from 2017, right? It's pretty old right now.
It's an older one,
Yeah, it's 5 years old and it still holds up. Like, I watched it last year? I think.
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah.
I remember because you posted it
I
on
was
TikTok.
freaking out. I was freaking out. I mean, like, violence and, it was just like, it was up my alley. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like anything, like, Strawberry as a whole could be on the list of deserving better because they just, like, they've been in the game for so long, just, like, giving us, yes, mainly queer media as opposed to BL, but, like, such good stories, and they're typically so short, and, like, they can do good storytelling better than some, like, full-length BLs have done. So, yeah, I would just love to see them get more recognition.
I do think, like, Strongberry are very good at, like, balancing the male and female gaze. Like, it's like, it's not too much of, like, the male gaze, like you can in some gay shows. But it has, like, elements in it that really, like, remind you of BL. Just like with Heartstopper, it kind of, like, even though it's not a BL, it does, like, it just gives you, like, the same feeling as when you're watching BL.
Yeah, definitely. Some of those same fluttery moments and things that draw you in the same way BL does.
Storytelling and not just, like, fan service for the sake of fan service.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, this is not a TV show. It is a pairing from a TV show, and I'm going to say I think that Ram King deserve better, solely because I am not convinced that we'll ever see season 2 of My Engineer or see their story get completed the way it deserves to.
No, we literally need to pitch for Lit to do, like, just Ram King. Like,
literally.
Right.
Like,
Just do a reboot. Just do Ram King.
I need someone to take that story from Try Creation, take Lit with it, and then, like, have someone else completely different just, like, give us the Ram King resolution we deserve. Because, I'm not convinced that Try Creation will ever actually give us the season 2 that we were promised. And to be honest, I don't know if I trust them to make the changes that need to be made to Ram King's story to, based on the novels and stuff, to make it a decent story. So, I mean, what we got of them was so good. And, like, we were talking to Lit during our interview about, like, the second couple, kind of, like, when they take over the show. And I feel like this was, like, the number one example of that happening. The chemistry and the elements of their story and their character development that was just, like, so good. And just, like, thinking about it not getting resolution.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I hate when stories are automatically set up to have a season 2, because then you run into these issues and season 2 never comes and you're left with no resolution. I think an open end can be good if it's planned for, but if you leave something open-ended with the thought that you will definitely have another season to resolve it, then it just like, it feels unresolved and it sucks, and I'm sad because
I really think like Perth and Talay, with like all the experience they've gotten the last years.
Oh my god, I can imagine how they would take the story to a whole different level.
They would.
Yeah.
I'm just so like watching like, you know, Perth and Talay have done the Ram King retrospective, or they like go back and watch all of their scenes on Perth's YouTube, and like watching them like go through, especially the later episodes where their stories started like really picking up and like talking about how they understood the characters and their motivations and the things they were doing. And like, I definitely agree that like with the experience that they've gotten now through like Copier and Perth with Cutie Pie and Kim Porsche, and they would do so well if they were able to continue with the project. And I just like, I want it to happen, but I don't know if we'll ever see it. I don't trust that we'll ever see it deserve the light? Reach the light of day, I guess is more what I meant to say. And for that reason, I think that they deserve better.
Yeah. Agreed. These next two I'm going to combine because they're both Korean BLs, and I just thought of them. But I think You Make Me Dance and First Love Again both deserve better. I think they're both incredibly, Heather's on the same, Heather's on the same wavelength as me.
You Make Me Dance in the chat as soon as you said that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're just connected today. But all for the same reasons. Like, they both have great stories, great acting. They're both shorter and have smaller budgets, but they're able to pull off a lot in that time frame. And First Love Again actually came out when like everyone was wanting longer form Korean BLs. And it was like the first longer form one that came out, but I feel like I didn't really see anyone
like 12
talk about
episodes or something like that, wasn't it?
It was like, I just looked it up. I think it was 8 episodes, but the episodes would be like 30 to 40 minutes.
Okay.
So
yeah, that definitely makes a difference.
To flesh out a story. Yeah, I don't have much else to say about them. I just think that more people should watch them because they're both good.
Yeah. I really liked You Make Me Dance. I have not watched First Love Again, I will say that, but I really liked You Make Me Dance, and I agree that I think it deserved better and deserved more recognition. Yeah.
Agreed. What popped into my head when Alexa was doing her thing is Oxygen.
Oh, I agree with that. Yes.
Yeah.
Deserved a second season. And also, like, I have a gripe with people. People are complaining about, is it not his acting, like he wasn't acting well enough, but that's the character, dude. He's supposed to be like that. He's acting good. Like, it's the same with Until We Meet Again and Cow. People were like being like, oh, he's so stoic, he's not moving. No, he's supposed to be like that. Stop it. I was so annoyed.
What? That was so funny to me.
I feel like this was in my heart, okay? This just came out. I just, like, this has been buried in my heart for a long time.
The level of passion that just exploded.
It was the sharp inhale for me before speaking.
I did not, like, I was not planning that. That just came out. I just, like, spontaneously combusted. No, but that show deserved so much, and like the second couple was so cute as well.
Yeah,
and
dude.
Like,
Yeah,
I had some issues with like the whole storyline with the dad, and the dad looking like he was the same age as not, and it's just, it's fine. That's like trivial, but they should have had a second season.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and yep, that's another thing where like you set someone up to expand on a second season, and they had all the plans to give them like a spin-off story even when they said that they weren't going to do the second season of Oxygen. The Pooh and Cow, I think were their names, the characters. But so obviously cute. That fell through. But yeah, I will say like you can tell that Nuts acting in Oxygen was him playing the character, because if you look at him in Something in My Room, you can see
he's
how
a lot
like,
more expressive. And just like because that's the character. I think like we didn't have this podcast when Oxygen came out. So I haven't had the time like
you've just been keeping that inside
to talk about this,
for all
and
these
it's
years.
just been buried, and it just came out.
Oh
Can't
man.
feel better.
I will say this one for Heather, since she put it in the chat. Her honorable mentions that she mentioned were the best story with Yin and War, which I think was only 3 episodes, wasn't it? It was like very, very short and very emotional and very sad from what I know. And yes, it had like an open ending, but the acting was, I feel like, you know, we talked about how much Yin has improved, and I feel like the best story was another example of showing like the difference between him and End of Love, and between then and Love Mechanics. Like the best story kind of came out and definitely showed some improvement from him. And also Golden Blood, specifically the second pairing. Although I do think Golden Blood as a whole could have been good if a lot of elements were different. If they had changed like everything, it could have been good.
Yeah, it's like Kayla was talking about how it's campy.
Yeah.
And some people like that, and that's fine. But I think that story would have worked really well if they just like leaned into making it darker.
Yeah.
And
See, I think like they either had to commit to making it darker or lean into the campy element of it, but I think they kind of landed on this place where like they wanted it to be dark and serious, but like it came off campy, and like that didn't do well for everyone. Like some like the fight scenes and Guns acting.
But I don't think that's Gunn's fault. I think they made him do that. The
script was like not.
I've seen Gunn act well. Like it's just like they keep trying to use him for like comedic relief, and I was just like, yes, he's lead. He's not gonna be that.
It's like a mafia story. Relief. Yeah.
And then they use him like that again, and I'm just like, what are you even doing?
Yeah.
That boy deserves better.
But like they really had gold with the secondary pairing in that show. And I feel like they did not utilize that enough. Like I feel like they were one of the really solid elements despite a lot of other aspects of the show not coming together as well. I thought that secondary pairing was like really, really good, and most people who watched the show preferred, once again, that pairing over the mains. But yeah, I think it had potential, and I don't know if I would say like it would have had a lot. It wouldn't need a lot of changes, I think, to be like truly on the deserved better list. But I think the secondary pairing and certain elements of it definitely deserved better.
Yeah.
I feel like it wanted to be history trapped so bad.
Oh, imagine if it was like a Thai version of History Trap, like a proper History Trap. Oh,
that would be really
love
cool.
That. Like History Trap is like top tier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any more, Kayla?
The only other one that I could think of is Quarren Things, the Filipino one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing where it had a really low budget and it was just all set in like one apartment. But I think that their acting and the writing made it so good. And it was like very quirky, but like not in a way where it was trying to be quirky. But like, I don't know. I just thought the writing was really clever, and I love the actors in it. I think they're really good, especially for being pretty much rookies. But yeah, that's the only other one I can think of.
Yeah. So the last one for me is the End of Love series, since
it's the whole thing.
About the whole thing. Like obviously, Love Mechanics have gotten like its redemption, but the two others are also, the stories are really good, and like I've read the novel, I know what happens. Like This Is Love story was filmed during the pandemic, so they couldn't like film like key points from the novel, and it just like fell flat because of that. Like it's a very like funny, sweet story from like the novel, and really interesting, but it just like there is so much more to it than they could show, and I was really disappointed watching it because like I know the actors could do better too. And obviously the first one, what's it called again? I
Tosara.
Yeah. Tosara. Yeah, I mean, even people were complaining about the actor, and I'm just like, dude, give him a rest. Like, they butchered his makeup. That was not his fault.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, yeah.
And people were complaining that he had, like, some beef in the trunk. But, dude, he's a good-looking boy. Stop it. He had a sway in the
hips.
Why would they complain about that? That's like a plus.
Yeah, right?
Who doesn't love some good hip action?
But that said, I do actually love the actor they recast for the Doctor in Love Mechanics.
Yeah, I did like them a lot.
I did like the recasts in Love Mechanic. I did.
Yeah.
So
I know a lot of people are hoping that they would also do This Is Love Story like they did with the Love Mechanics, but with what's his name? Mark Siwat, because apparently him and Prom are like an unofficial ship that, and like he had a cameo in Love Mechanics.
Yeah, cameo! Like they are so baiting.
Yeah, so a lot of people are wondering if maybe that'll happen, but I don't know.
I hope Lit does it, if so, because he did such a good job with Love Mechanics. He should if anyone will give it the proper respect from like the novel and the original short, then it would be him.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe if we're lucky.
We'll have to dig. Detective
Pixie is on the job.
Okay, do we have any more?
None for me.
Nope. Okay. So that's it for this week's episode. Leave a comment down below or over on our social media telling us which BLs you think deserve better. If you enjoyed the episode, please rate, review, and follow us wherever you get your podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Sharing this episode with your friends really help us out. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.
I wish I could go and check my my drama list, but I cannot remember my login.
Oh. I would be nowhere without my drama list. I use that whenever we do list episodes like this to
I cannot remember my login.